Welcome back to the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube. Welcome back to Swivel Chair Sports. I'm your host, Zach Zuckerberg Burkle, here with the coast today, Aaron and Joe. Go and say hi, guys.
Hello.
Alright, in this video, we'll be doing another edition of our weekly NFL winners and losers. If you haven't seen one of these videos before, we go back to this past week in the regular season of the NFL. Each come up with a few winners and a few losers, and just go round and round sharing them until we run out of people to talk about.
If you like our content, be sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you think.
Yep. Alright, so first winner of the week, I've got head coach of the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell. This past week, they beat the Packers, move up to 7-1 on the season. They have the tiebreaker over the Vikings, who's the next closest team in not just the NFC North, but the entire NFC conference. So kind of sit in the driver's seat for the 1 seed in the NFC right now. In my opinion, they're the clear-cut best team in that conference at the moment. Top 5 scoring defense, the best scoring offense in the whole league. So they're playing well on both sides of the ball. They do actually, I was looking through those stats though, they do actually give up a pretty good amount of yardage against their opponents, specifically in the passing game. But they seem to be pretty good at, being a bend don't break defense, and I think that that gets you a long way in the NFL, especially when it starts getting colder later in the year. If they have that home field advantage up there in Detroit, I know it's a dome stadium, I guess, but Jared Goff thrives in that, so I think that'd be huge if they can avoid having to play at Lambeau or in Minnesota. Well, Minnesota's also indoors, so maybe they wouldn't mind that. But go Dan.
Yeah, I've got the Lions just in general as well as winners. Kind of firmly take hold of that NFC North division, and they had Darius Smith at D-line. So
Yeah, I forgot about
that's
that.
just another weapon in the arsenal for that defense that, lose Aiden Hutchinson, don't really seem to lose a step, and then they go and find his replacement. The Lions look damn near unstoppable at this point, so Lions winners.
Like Bert pointed out, man, they're the top scoring offense. That's a recipe for success, but it's the fact that it's not like their defense is a slouch and giving up all these points. So, I mean...
And they're doing it all on the ground. They're just bullies in the trenches.
Just both defensive and offensive lines are incredible because their rush defense is actually really, really good. It's the pass defense where they tend to give up a little bit of yardage, but regardless, not giving
Which is
up
why
any
they
points.
were able to draft a guy like Terrion Arnold as a rookie who's starting. Like, I mean, they made it. It was a point that they needed to address, so they're trying to, and give them credit. I mean, that culture shift, like it's proven it's a real culture thing because it carried over from last season, and no one's thinking of them like the Lions of old. That's for sure now. With that being said, the first team, I'll go with the team then for my first win, and mine's the Eagles. Felt like that's kind of obvious. I mean, when you got a guy out there hurdling people backwards,
that was sick.
What Saquon did. I mean, you're on another level right now. You're walking different. You're feeling different. So, but like the points are, Jalen Hurts in the last 4 games, which the Eagles, by the way, are 4-0. They're a 4-game win streak. Jalen Hurts has 12 touchdowns, no turnovers. Saquon now has 1,000 all-purpose yards and 8 touchdowns. I think he's like 40 yards from 1,000 rushing. Devontae Smith, 80 yards and a touchdown in each of the last 2 games. AJ Brown they're just trying to keep him on the field. I think once he's on the field, he's already proven this year that he's going to continue to kill everybody. And then on top of it, the defense, which was a huge question mark. They're top 3 in yards per game, top 10 in points per game the entire season right now. In the last 4 games, they have 16 sacks, and in the last 2 games alone, they have 5 turnovers. So, I mean, a team that didn't get turnovers, that's continuously seeming to heat up still. Like, I don't think they're done yet, and they're just gradually getting better even on the weak points of their team. So, if the Eagles, I mean, the only thing is I'm questioning if they'll crack in a big game, but nonetheless, they seem to get rolling at the right time as things are starting, especially as the Commanders in that division are playing the way they are. Well, I'm sure we'll get to them at some point.
My first loser of the week, we talked about this before we started recording, Aaron. Derek Carr. What the fuck? You lost to the Panthers, dog? Like, that's crazy.
What the fuck, Saints?
Funny enough, though, if you remember, I did have them losing this game in the preseason predictions. So, crazy that came to fruition. Granted, the Panthers have won a game before, so that part was not true. But I did predict this happening. I didn't think it would be the final nail in the coffin of this iteration of the Saints, though. Having now fired head coach Dennis Allen, Marshawn Lattimore got traded to the Washington Commanders. Colin Saunders is asking to play quarterback on Twitter right now. It's just a mess over there in New Orleans. You got Michael Thomas coming back and talking shit about Derek Carr all over social media right now. Derek Carr taking the high road in the press conferences, saying that I can't remember exactly what he said, but basically just saying like, how you gonna hate it from outside the club when you can't even get in? It's not good right now in New Orleans. They don't really have any bright future at the end of this either, with the cap hell that they're currently sitting in. It's looking like they're finally gonna have to hit the full reset button here. Oh, and I didn't even mention another big reason Derek Carr loser this week. He got Chris Olave essentially killed. We're not sure if he's alive, thankfully, but we're not sure if his head's still there. It might still be stuck on that football field. So, yeah, Derek Carr, big loser this week.
Yeah, I've got the Texans O-line. That was an abysmal performance. Just refusing to shift any help over to that poor rookie left guard that had to deal with Quinnen Williams all game. He just got absolutely manhandled. But, it's not necessarily his fault because Quinnen's one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. So if you're refusing to sort of adapt mid-game, that's kind of all on scheme. But for an O-line that's, not necessarily patchwork, they've got an injury or two, but for the most part, they're pretty healthy. They're not playing very well, and they're really hindering this Texans offense. So I think the Texans O-line as losers this week.
My first loser. First off, I agree with Aaron, especially on like leaving him on an island by himself. I mean, you got to expect at some point a guy like Quinnen Williams. It could be him versus an all-pro guy. He's gonna win something at some point, let alone against a rookie. I mean, you didn't put the kid in a spot to necessarily have the most success. But Burke took my first loser. It wasn't necessarily Derek Carr. It was just the Saints as a whole. He named every single thing, including Olave, and then I guess Rashid Shaheed also out too. He's been out for a couple weeks.
He's been out.
Any good name possible. Yeah, so like, it's just it's a dumpster fire. But my first loser then will be I'm going with them boys. Dallas, man, they're 3-5. You got the Eagles and Commanders. If you just watch them play, look like better teams. Then you go look at the records that they have. They are better teams already. But a big one is the Commanders are on a 3-game win streak. Eagles 4-game win streak. Dallas 3-game losing streak. So, I mean, yeah, the gap is already there. They're 3 games behind. And then you still have 8 games to play. There's not a lot of room for error for them.
And Dak Prescott maybe going on. Yeah, you're about to.
Yeah. I almost forgot that. So, yeah, you touched on it. So, Dak being out, it's just, I don't know. This might be McCarthy's throwing headsets now. So, I don't know. We're going to have to see. They're losers, that's for sure. But maybe we don't even watch them burn in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, the icing on the cake seems to be trading a 4th-round pick for Jonathan Mingo. Extreme overpay, to say the least. When you look around the league, and the Chiefs got D-Hop for a 5th. The Ravens got Deontay Johnson for basically nothing, trading their 5th for a 6th. And the Bills got Amari Cooper for only a 3rd. So getting Mingo for fucking 4th seems crazy, especially when you're probably going to be middle of the draft, you'd assume at this point. So it's not like it's essentially a 5th-round pick. It's a decent 4th-round pick that you're giving up.
It's not like throwing the ball was their problem.
No, yeah, 'cause the
Their-
running back would have been
Their O line's bad, their D line's bad, and they don't have the best, running back room. So I don't know if they tried to address any of those situations, but I don't think wide receiver was their most pressing concern at the moment. I also had the Cowboys as losers because they suck and Dak is hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, clearly they thought of themselves as buyers, or they wouldn't have traded a 4th-round pick for Jonathan Mingo. I think the better route to go, and you had an excuse to do it with Dak probably being out multiple weeks now, trade old-ass Zach Martin, who's still good, and just punt on the season. Get some draft capital for, an all-pro guard that you can send off to a needy team that needs some O-line help. But I don't know.
They can't do that. They're all in, Burke.
Yeah,
They're
that's
all
right.
in.
That's right.
As a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I would have gladly traded a 2nd-round pick or something for Zach Martin.
Right? I feel you could have got a
Without a
2nd-round pick.
Easily.
Yeah.
You could have got a first one from a real good contender.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the Ravens. The Ravens could probably use a little bit of interior line help.
Something like that, yeah.
Oops. My next winner, I've got Justin Herbert. Coming off dismantling of the Browns, where he threw for 282 yards, 2 touchdowns on 67% completion to lead the Chargers to a 27-10 victory. He's also led the Chargers into playoff contention, now moving to 5-3. They seem to be legit playoff contenders, currently sitting at the 6th seed in the AFC. Pretty weak this year, granted, but their only losses this season, those 3 losses, division leaders, Chiefs, Steelers, and Cardinals. 2 of those I think you could say are pretty good teams in the Chiefs and Steelers. Cardinals, I think the jury's still a little out on them to see if they're legit, but regardless, all 3 of them currently hold first place in their division. So for those to be the only 3 teams you've lost to this year, you're at least beating the teams you should. So that's the first step in being a legitimate contender, and I think they're heading in the right direction. So
I've got the Bucs as winners, despite losing to the Chiefs. They only had 2 receptions by receivers going, I think, into that last drive, and they were still in it, only down 7. Had moved the ball fairly well against what's been a pretty stout Chiefs defense. Baker, miraculously evaded a bunch of sacks. That there were so many times that a Chiefs D lineman had an arm around him and he just snuck away and was able to get the ball out of his hand or scramble for a few yards. And then the sort of the creativity of that rush game. There were a couple of interesting blocking schemes that the Bucs ran that really worked, and against a Chiefs defense that's been really good against the run this year. So I think the Bucs are, still in fighting position to win their division, despite their 2 big losses at receiver.
yeah, it's gonna be tough though, being 2 games back. I'll wait to reveal my next winner later, but they're 2 games back of the Falcons, having already played the 2 games against them, lost them both. So it's gonna be tough to win that division, basically being 3 games back. But I do like their team. I think they should make the playoffs.
Those 2, if they could have a split with the Falcons, it would be a real different story right now. But just being 2 down makes it tough. Aaron, I love the point that you made, especially because, for me, we all expect the Bucs to be worse with the 2-star receivers. But I mean, not only they did it against a good Kansas City defense, it took every bit of your guys' offense to win that game. And they looked good. I'm not gonna lie, I'm sure for you guys it was great to see Mahomes have a 3-touchdown game, no picks.
Oh my god!
And then you see the run game go for 100 yards. He kind of looked like old Mahomes up until I know you guys held your breath a little bit when you saw him limp with a non-contact play like that. I know your guys. Yeah, I know.
It was immediate.
I was like, at first I thought it was, which it ended up being just the ankle. But at first I thought it was just the ankle, and then they showed the slow-mo, and that freaked me out. I saw his whole leg vibrate, and I was like, oh no.
Not only was
it was like this or cheering. You know, I mean, the Chargers
It was-
fans probably went crazy.
Well, it was an instant, like, because it panned away from him, obviously. So it was an instant, like, oh my gosh, what a play! And then, fuck.
Exactly.
And not only was I like, oh no, Mahomes is hurt, I was like, oh no, Carson
Wentz.
Wentz backup. So, not only
Hey,
are we going to lose
that
this
would've been
game,
electric.
oh
Yeah,
my
crazy.
gosh. There
Dude,
were
he
no
pulls a Nick
turnovers
Foles?
somehow.
Hey,
No,
imagine he
would've
pulled a
saved
Nick
the
Foles.
day. No, he would have saved the day. I'm telling you.
Full
If he
circle.
starts the game, maybe different question. But yeah, that's all I was trying to touch on with Aaron. Like, it took every bit of the Chiefs being offense looking somewhat like the old offense. I mean, what is the other 31 in the league doing? D-Hop to the Chiefs. I am gonna say that those are the losers.
crazy.
What idiots decide to trade DeAndre
Yeah.
Hopkins to the Chiefs? Hey, the Browns didn't give him Cooper. Good. All right, we're on track. All right. Now Mike Williams didn't really matter, but Mike Williams, any big name, but no, Devontae Adams to the Jets. And we're going to let the freaking Chiefs go get D-Hop. Which, by the way, I was all for as far as fantasy football goes, because as soon as that happened, I was like, D-Hop's a wide receiver 1. I still know it. He has it left in the tank. So,
Yeah.
congratulations, everybody. And what was that, a second game with you guys?
Yeah. First real
Yeah.
one, but yeah, second.
Exactly, first real one, and what does he just do in 8 catches, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns? Just
And one of the
D-Hop
craziest triple coverage catches I'd seen in, like, throwing catches. That was a nuts play. That play was insane.
I thought that was
I was
picked.
gonna say
I thought-
Dude, I was like, what are you doing? Okay.
D-Hop is everything the Chiefs have been waiting for at receiver, not just for the last couple years. Like, you even take a guy that you can just throw the ball up to, and
Yeah.
Tyreek will drop a couple, give you a couple picks. But D-Hop's like, if I get the ball catchable, it's an 80-20 ball
Yeah.
at worst.
Yeah.
Should Todd Bowles have gone for 2?
Yeah.
What do we think?
I have an opinion.
Yes.
My take. So first of all, I'm a big risk taker. You gotta do what you gotta do as a team. Okay. On the road, go for 2. At home, tie the game. You have the momentum. You have let alone in Arrowhead with 15 at quarterback to a coin flip.
You
No, I'm
just
good, man.
shushed
I'm
the
just-
crowd, too, by scoring that
Yeah.
touchdown.
Your season's on the line. It seems like, especially with all their injuries.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going for 2. I don't want my defense out. Not with Mahomes feeling himself. If he played like he did
No.
previous weeks with turnovers already, yeah, maybe you give you that defense a chance. But
Yeah. As soon as I saw Baker walk off the field, I knew it was over. I was like, well,
I'm willing to hang my hat on that at least. Like, I know some people, analysts, whatever. I'm hanging my hat. Go
Yeah.
for 2 on that game.
for
You
sure.
need that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the way,
Yeah.
like you said, the
Yeah.
way Mahomes was playing, it was like, and the way the defense
And they
was too.
scored
I mean, for the
on the
most part, you had to
Yeah.
expect the Chiefs were going to hold them to 3 at least, and if they hold them to 3, Chiefs get a chance. So
When that defense was so tired that last drive, like, I was even skeptical of why they called that timeout with as much time left. That Chiefs defense was gassed when they got down to that 1-yard line. They should have went hurry up, score.
Yeah, no, that was-
Nonetheless, it happened.
yeah, they're
I would've
lucky
took
that
that as their gas. Like, we have momentum. I'm taking the momentum for.
they're lucky we didn't win it in
Either way, it's
regulation,
going to-
because I thought we were going to win it in regulation there for a second.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so much time on the clock.
Yeah.
So to answer your question simply, Aaron, yes, go for. I would have went for 2 in my opinion.
Okay, we're all in agreement.
Yeah. My next loser, man, Broncos defense, dog. That was a awful display. They came into the game not allowing 4 touchdowns to any team so far this season. They hadn't allowed 20 points since week 1 against Seattle. Walking into this, they look like one of the best defensive units in the league, and probably, you could argue, a better defense than the Ravens even. You could argue it. I wouldn't say whether or not that's true. But this season. And then fucking Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson come in, combined for 5 touchdowns, around 400 yards of total offense, and all of a sudden it's the Ravens, so you gotta, give them a little credit, obviously. But they didn't just get beat. They got their ass whooped, losing 41-10. Like, it was an embarrassing display. And now they got to worry about the undefeated Chiefs coming to town that seem like they're clicking on all, cylinders. And D-Hop seems to turn back the clock 5 years and looks like he's on the Texans again. And Travis Kelce just caught 14 fucking passes for 100 yards. And the Broncos defense has to be a little concerned right now. And they could probably feel any playoff hopes they had slipping away, maybe showing their true colors a little bit this past week as they just got mollywopped by the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, that not a great showing.
My next winner, I consider it a winner. I don't know about other people. If you're just like football and like good football, that AFC North battle is heating up, boys. The Ravens, the Steelers, and the Bengals all have shown, I think, enough to believe that they're contenders. They're going to be fighting for the playoffs. They've shown flashes of being able to be a playoff team. I'm not going to say the Steelers are a deep playoff team as much as like the Ravens are like that, but nonetheless contenders. And then you have this Ravens, who added Deontay Johnson last week, added Tre'Davious White today. If you guys didn't know that, or if anybody watching didn't know that, they added Tre'Davious White for a 7th rounder, which I just see that as a win because it's a 7th round pick for the Ravens. It's probably going to be super late 7th rounder for Tre'Davious White for the possibility of his ceiling. Great pick. Steelers got Preston Smith and Mike Williams. I'm not going to harp on that much. I'm not like crazy about it. I think I'm more excited about the Preston Smith trade.
Yeah,
and then the Bengals are starting to feel, just starting to kind of get into rhythm. It seems like a lot more. I mean, heck, Burrow and Jamar Chase right now are playing lights out. But they add Khalil Herbert when Zach Moss goes down, which not a huge deal, but the sense that they're adding someone, obviously they still feel like they can fight for something. So, I mean,
on Chase Brown's look
like
really
you
good.
guys said,
So.
AFC North, you guys have them all split the rest of the season. I mean, Steelers, Ravens still have to play twice. Who knows what happens, but it's going to be an exciting last 8 games in that division.
For sure. Last one I got, winner, Kirk Cousins. He continues to look a little better and better each week. This past one, he led the Falcons to a win over the Cowboys. Threw for 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, nearly 80% completion, so hardly missed anything that he was throwing Sunday. He seems to really have settled into that Falcons offense. He now has like I mentioned earlier, 2-game lead over the Bucs for the NFC South. Also have the tiebreaker, so essentially a 3-game lead over the Bucs in that division. And I don't see the Saints or Panthers battling for that number 1 spot this year. So it's basically between those two, and Falcons are low key running away with it. If the Bucs put together another couple losses while the Falcons win, it'll basically be sewed up before Week 12. So Kirk Cousins looks incredible right now. And, between him and Aaron Rodgers, I mean, granted, there's an age gap there, but Kirk Cousins seems to be recovered from the Achilles injury a little bit better than Rodgers is. So.
I'll just kind of tie these two together as my last one, because they both have to kind of deal with trade deadline deals. Commanders shore up their secondary, going out and getting Marshawn Lattimore. Big pickup for them. Addresses their weakest part of their team.
Sorry, Mike Sanders still.
And then the Steelers get Russ another option, get Mike Williams in there. Deep ball merchant, just 50-50 ball. Just destroyed the Chiefs with that in his time there in San Diego / LA. So 2 good gets for teams battling for winning their division and a good speed in the playoffs.
Maybe that's why they traded for Mike Williams. Because in case we see you guys in the playoffs, we needed to have something.
Dude, that might be
you see us in the regular season.
Huh?
You see us later in the regular season.
Could be the first team to beat us.
I don't think.
Week 15 or 16, something like that.
Nah, I'm banking on Mike Williams going for 202 touchdowns on you guys. That's what I'm going to bank on.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna put my last two then because I only have two more. Um, Speaking of Aaron saying the Commanders added Marshawn Lattimore, I have the Commanders as winners. They're 7-2, and
It feels
their
normal.
defense, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
How fast it's turned for that team. It's like the Detroit almost, like it just
Or Texans.
Houston, like
yeah.
Houston more so, just one off season. But I mean, we've always said like their defense was like their big question mark. Obviously, their offense seems to just keep getting enough wins or putting up enough points. But they're +5 turnover differential for their defense, which is good for top 10 in the league. And I think they were number 9 exactly. They're number 11 in points per game, and then they added Marshawn Lattimore. And so I mean, they're winning. Their defense isn't playing as bad. I mean, Dan Quinn. He's doing some things. I'm sure he's probably going crazy adding a guy like Marshawn Lattimore to his defense. They're good for the Commanders, let alone being at the top of their division right now. So, a lot to be excited about. And then my last winner, specifically, is Derrick Henry, 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns this season. And there are still 8 games left to play. So, I would be, if there's anybody to
It's not December. How did you do that?
With having 8 games left, if there's anyone that can still somehow get a 2,000-yard rushing season, it would not shock me to see Derrick Henry somehow make that happen the way it's going.
Yeah, I think he was the last one to do it too, wasn't he?
Would be his second one of his career, yeah. I think he was the last one, yeah.
Yeah.
So, good for him.
Yeah. That should be fun. Unless y'all got anything else. I think that'll do it for this episode of the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube, Swivel Chair Sports. I've been your host, Zach Zuckerberg. We're here with today, Aaron and Joe. Want to say bye, guys?
Bye.
All right, let us know how you feel about the Commanders being first place in their division and only having lost 2 games so far this year. It feels unnaturally normal. I don't know why. But other than that, deuces. Have a good day.